Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I have to tell you that it is my absolute favorite time of year in the nursery now. It's the last day or two of March, first day or two of April coming up right here. And for us here in my Zone 7, which is West Tennessee, in my climate, that means that everything in the nursery, or virtually everything in the nursery, is starting to wake up from winter dormancy. So there's little signs of life everywhere you look at here. And I want to show you what some of that looks like today. And I also want to show you a resource that is a perfect place for DIY backyard growers like you and me to find all sorts of nursery supplies like shade cloth and ground cover and plug trays and things of the like. So I want to share that with you today as we take a little tour of the nursery and see what's waking up out here. So this is our coral bells. We showed you a video about them back in the fall, and they've been here covered in plastic all winter. And we've opened them up from time to time to air them out a little bit on warmer days and that kind of thing, or to let them get rained on if we didn't water them. But there's a few hundred coral bells right here in these little 3.5-inch pots, and I can't see a single one of them that has died over winter. So of course I'm really happy about that. And I've gotten all of these fertilized now. So they just basically sat here unfertilized in pots all winter long. Now, as the weather is warming up, they're ready to start growing and take off. And if you'll come in here close, I'll show you this new growth on them. On every one of these coral bells, you can see this new growth right here in the middle. You can see it on this one. You can see it on this one, on this one, on this one. They're all beginning to put on new growth for the spring. Back here on the red colored ones, you can see the new growth coming up here and here and here. So they're all coming to life. And this is one of my favorite things to see in the nursery in the spring, is all the springtime colors starting to come out, and in just weeks it's going to look amazing out here. And these, I haven't done a video on these in quite a while, but these are my peonies. And if you'll remember back from last year, and maybe you saw those or maybe you didn't, I'm doing some experimenting with peonies, and that's what these are. They're starting to come up, and I've never grown them before last year. And last year I started an experiment where I grew some of these in the ground and I grew some of these in pots. Now, these are the ones that I grew in the ground, and I dug them from the ground, I think last September or October, and potted them, and they sat in these pots all winter. The ones that have been in pots from day one, they're over in the shade house, but it looks like every single one of them here is either coming up somewhat tall like these, or they're starting to break through the ground. So hopefully not a single dead one in the bunch. Really exciting for me. Now, these are some of my big hydrangea plants that are in 3-gallon pots. I don't normally do this, but these are Annabelle hydrangeas here that have these tall stems on them, and these are silver dollars back here. And these silver dollars, if you want to come have a look close in on these, this is how these look when they're just starting to put on buds. And you can see these green buds right here. This is just covered in them, and every one of those is going to turn into a branch. So you can just see this is going to be a really big full plant in very short order. We'll get these fertilized and they'll start growing really fast, and by late May or June or something like that, these things will look absolutely amazing, and they will be huge. And here we have dappled willows. These are the very same ones that I stuck as cuttings that I dug from the bed over there, that you guys have seen my dappled willows videos. Well, here they are potted up. So they are beginning to leaf out really nicely. They all need to be fertilized, but in about 4 weeks, these plants are going to be this tall and completely ready to go. And this is some of my new hostas this spring. We just potted these in the last couple of weeks, and they've all already began, not all, but most of them have already began emerging through these small pots. Now, these won't be ready to sell this year, but they will by next season, and they'll also increase in number in the pots. So where you just see one of these coming up here, by next season there'll be 2 or 3 of these in each pot. We'll keep some, we'll divide some, but some of our hostas, here are some of them, of course, they are starting to emerge, and that's one of the things I get most excited about in spring. Let me go show you just a few more hostas that are starting to come up. And just to show you a couple of more of my hostas, I pulled these out where the light is a little bit better, but these two are blue mouse ears, and I just want to kind of show you why I'm excited about those. And this hosta is called Victory, and let me show you why I'm excited about those. These two blue mouse ears, and I have a bunch of them like this. Like this one, 5 stems are emerging here from this one. So chances are I'm going to rip this one out of the pot, tear it to pieces, and I can probably get at least 3, maybe 4 hostas out of that to divide for next year. And this one right here has at least 8 points emerging from it. But with them in one cluster like that, that's really hard to divide it to get more than maybe 2 or 3 out of that. So anyway, blue mouse ears, awesome little miniature hosta. Can't wait to see how those look. And in contrast to those, this one over here in this larger pot is the Victory hosta is the name of it, and the Victory hosta is the largest variegated hosta in production today, and this thing will grow to be the size of like a love seat. It's incredible, but I was only ever able to find these one time, so I sold a few of them the very first year I got them, and the rest of them I have kept, and I'm trying to multiply and multiply and multiply, so I'll have a bunch of them for years to come. So no chance that I'll sell this one this year, but in short order I will dig this out of here, divide this into 3 more. Got several more pots like these, and probably have maybe 30 of them by mid-spring, where they can continue to grow through the season. All right guys, these are a lot of our plants we propagated, these trays last year. I'm going to get a couple of these out of here and go over to the table and show you these up closer, but you can see they're starting to green up. They're going to be really nice. So let's pull out a couple of them. I'm going to show you some of the good and some of the bad of what I see here. Now, pulling a few of the trays out of there just to show you kind of what happened here over the winter. Remember, these have just been sitting on the ground over there in my shade house. They're not covered. They're not in any way kept warm. They've just been sitting in these 50 count trays dormant since I propagated them last year. Now, this first tray here is Ruby Slippers Hydrangea. Now, it's an oak leaf hydrangea, and admittedly, I have certainly not mastered propagating oak leaf hydrangeas, but here's what I can tell you. This is a 50 count tray here, and I just counted these, and actually 19 of these are alive. Either the others died over winter, or they never rooted successfully last summer anyway. But that being said, here's 19 ruby slipper hydrangeas that will spend this year growing, and I'll pot them up into bigger pots soon, and they'll be ready to sell in a year. So there's ruby slipper hydrangeas. This tray is Gold Mound Spirea, and I didn't count these, but there's probably between 40 and 45 out of these 50 that successfully propagated, have leafed out. It's a super easy to plant, super easy plant to work with and to propagate. So that's a little shrub, Gold Mound Spirea. And this mess is, well, what is it? This is Silver Dollar hydrangeas. Now, I'm showing you this because I just want to show you what a mess these things can become. So look at this. Well, here's you a nice looking plug. Nice root ball if you're into growing weeds. So you know what that is? Garbage. It's no good. It's nothing. And weeds can take over virtually anything, from your ground, growing from the ground, to your potted plants, to your plug trays. They can take over absolutely anything. And I don't know if you've ever heard me say it or not, but guys, I hate weeds. They're the absolute scourge of the earth. They're the biggest headache in the world for a nursery. So you can see that there's a lot of hydrangeas here that are fine, that are beginning to bud out. So I don't know how many there are. I didn't count them. I'd say between 20 and 30 of this particular tray of Silver Dollars. They're going to do great. But I'm really not into growing weeds, and I would encourage you to do a better job than I do with controlling them. And guys, the last thing that I wanted to share with you today is a resource that I found that's it's really a helpful store or site or whatever you want to call it. It's bootstrapfarmer.com, and I'm going to leave a link to Bootstrap Farmer right in the description below this video. They're not sponsoring this video in any way, but I did want to just let you know who Bootstrap Farmer is. They are some folks that really cater to the DIY nursery crowd, like gigantic growers of, you know, millions and millions of plants. They're not using Bootstrap Farmers, but people like me are. Small growers use these folks, and the reason I want to recommend them to you is because I recently bought a new piece of shade cloth. Like, you got to have shade cloth in your nursery. You just have to. If you have a hot summer, you just have a hard time not having some sort of shade cloth somewhere. But I ordered some shade cloth from them. When it came, I had an issue with it, and when I contacted them, I realized that I was talking to somebody knowledgeable who actually knew about the products that they sold. Customer service was fantastic, and I thought, I have got to share this with the folks on my YouTube channel. So they sell shade cloth. They sell this ground cover, and you know, I think you got to have this ground cover to help control weeds. They sell plug trays. They've got all kinds of tutorials and articles on their website to help you out knowing how to do things, how to put things together. If you're interested in building something like a hoop house, a greenhouse, that type of thing, all of that's there on their website. And I just wanted to share it with you because I think it'll be helpful to you. And again, there's a link right below here that will get you there, and that'd be awesome if you guys would use that. They're a great bunch of folks to do business with. So guys, that's it for today, but check out these 2 videos. It's just more about backyard growing and more about how to do this thing and how this process works and steps you can take to get better and better and better and learn more and more, I think you'll find them helpful. But besides that, I really appreciate y'all watching. I love y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.